Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing Karvi, a Viking game.
This is a game from a designer, I think this is his first design, Torgeir Tjong. And it says, the back of the box explains he grew up in Norway over on the west coast, and so he's fascinated by the history of Vikings. So he
the non-brutal history, just to clarify.
There's some battling in this game, so you're very Euro-y battling. But so I was interested because of, he wanted to kind of approach this a little bit more historically, but not like a historical, not like a war game kind of.
Yeah.
888 Vikings or 878 Vikings or anything like that.
Yes. All right. Well, I will show you how generally this plays, and we'll get back to the review. Karvi is a dice rondel game. Over here we have the rondel, we have the map where we're moving around our boats, and then we have our individual player boards. I want to start by talking about the general turn structure. So everyone is going to have their colored dice associated with the color of their boats on the map and on their player boards. And this is a rondel, so it's going to move clockwise, and whoever's in the farthest back space is going to be the next player to go. So as you can see, this turn order is not necessarily in order of who's sitting at the table, but it will change throughout the game. So as you take your turn, you choose any space in this circle that you can afford. You then look at the cost of the space, and you will pip down your dice to spend the beer that you need to be able to take that space. So this one would cost 1. We would take the associated resources, and that would be our turn right there. Then the next player would go. Now, on top of this rondel, there are some free actions that you can do. You can trade in resources to move your ship, to play cards, to trade in cards, and to basically switch resources for other resources. So there's free actions that you can do. And this game is going to continue where everyone will complete this whole rondel. They'll land up back on this tile. Well, actually, the tile beneath it. And they will do that 3 times until the end of the game. When the game is done, players are going to go ahead and count up points, and that will be determined by what's on the back of this card. So there's player aids and stuff. And so let's get a little bit more into the actions of this game. All right, let's start by talking about the gray actions. These are just basic ways to get resources. Resources are these little pieces over here, as well as the dudes on your boat. These dudes can be upgraded, they can be swapped out, or they can just be straight up added at current levels. So just depending on what you're looking at, for example, this is just straight up add a level 4 dude, whereas you may see plus signs that are like this one right here that say add 1 to a strength of a guy you already have. Now, what do we need Vikings for? We need Vikings so we can raid, right? As you're moving around the board, you'll see that there are these little tokens set up around here. We've got red ones and we have yellow ones. And those are actually associated with these yellow spaces and these red spaces right here. So you need to spend provisions, and you've got these nice little donut things that sit on your boat. And these provisions will allow you to move around as a free action on your turn. You just spend a provision per space you move. Now, when you land on a space that has one of these little strip tiles here, you're going to go ahead and choose which one you want to collect. You do not have to be able to meet its cost yet. You just have to be able to reach that spot. So we reach the spot, we're going to choose this one, and we put the rest back for someone else to look at later. Now, the way that these work is that throughout this game, you're going to collect these, and then when you can afford to complete them, same thing with these resource ones over here. For example, this one requires that I have 4 coins. I don't have that yet, so I cannot complete this. However, I can complete the red one over here. This says I have to have at least 2 shields. So when you want to complete them, you will take your die and you will go to either a yellow or a red space, depending on what you want to complete, and you will pay the cost. So I'll come here, I need to pay my 1 beer, so I come down there, and then I will finish this over here. So I do have at least 2 shields. That condition is met. Now I need to damage 2 of my dudes, and I'll flip them over. They will be damaged, and then later, if I have to damage them again, they will actually come off my board. They will die, but I will get points based on whatever their level is. I will also gain 4 points, and then I will get 2 of these gold. Now, if you remember from our little free action tile over here, gold is worth any resource or a die up pip. So if I need more actions over here, I can actually spend gold to pip up my dice. So then once I complete this, I'm going to slot it over here on my board saying that I completed this one. And this is going to actually be a little bit of engine building for when I will take this particular action. As you can see on the left, we've got the beer action, and then we have the provisions action down here. So let's go ahead and talk about those next. Coming down here to the brown, this is where you either fill up on beer or provisions. Now, you always take the farthest left completed action. So for example, if I were to go to the beer space, I would only pip up my dice twice. Now I can do that across all of my dice, total of 2. So I could make both of these a 3, or I can make one of these a 4 and leave the other one still at a 2. Then with provisions, I'm going to add these provisions to my boat. So I would add the maximum one, not a total. So right now I would add 3 provisions to my boat if I were green right now, and those would just slot right on my little ship over here. Okay, so that's how those actions take. As you can see, they are free. All right, we only have 2 colors left to talk about of action spaces. The first one is the blue, or the upgrade action space. You can take one of these cards at the top here, and they're going to give you little bonuses. You just have to pay the cost at the top for it. And this can be done at any time before or after your action on your turn as a free action. Or if you don't want to gain a card, you can actually upgrade these little spaces on your board that you see here. So you pay the cost at the top above the upgrade, and then you can actually slot these in, gain the points that they cover up immediately if it's on your boat, or these are little end game scoring options. Finally, you have the green action. Now this is well explained up here along with all the other colors that I talked about, but this one initially is going to give you just one of these 2 resources over here, and then upgrade one of your battle boys down here in your boat. But then also, depending on how many houses or towers that you built throughout the game, that's going to give you additional resources or additional upgrade power. Now, if you look over here where this purple boat is, this is actually where we can build houses. When your boat lands here, you immediately place out a house if you have one available, and you gain the points that you covered up immediately. As you can see, these strips actually upgrade your brown actions, as well as unlocking these buildings that you can place out on the board for more points. Like I mentioned before, you do all those 3 rondel actions, and then you're going to score up at the end of the game, and this card right here is going to tell you what scores. Once that's all scored up, the player with the most points is the winner. So Chris, you mentioned the Euro Viking battles. Mm-hmm. And I love Euro battles because they require 0 die rolling. Do I have the military to fight this? Yes, I do, my friend. And it is done. Sure.
I mean, it's kind of resource management, approach. Yeah, but
do you have enough shields? Yes, I do.
So thematically, I really like this game because it is... you can tell the care that went into the history and stuff behind it. I like the multiple routes. You have the trading focus and you have the raiding focus, which, first of all, this is fun to say. You're going to trade a raid this turn.
I'm going to do it all.
Right. I like the idea of kind of keeping up the provisions, moving your ships around. Generally speaking, I think that this is, it's cool the way that it takes the source material, takes the theme, and kind of puts into this game that makes sense, right? When a game is nicely thematic mechanically.
I agree, because there's definitely those games where you feel like, oh, this theme is an afterthought. This is what the publisher decided was hot right now. And that's not the case. I feel like this was theme integrated from the beginning. Mm-hmm. All the way from like the map, the mechanics, the how things work out. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it has a bit of a sense of humor to it. The pips on your dice are beer. It's beer, right? Oh, we drank all the beer. We're out. We got to go refill up, guys.
So we have no liquid courage left to do anything.
Right. So it's not taking itself too seriously, but it is also. It's not it's not like Raiders of the North Sea, like woo kind of Vikings, or Champions of Midgard, like blah, 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 kind of Vikings, right? This is it's a little more grounded, and it fits this game.
Yes, I think components-wise, it looks nice. I think that the tokens all make sense. They're not particularly fiddly. The setup, you do have to organize and put things in groups, but I don't feel like that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. The actual storage boxes I'm not usually a fan of. I feel like they work in this game just because they're the right size, especially for the armies. Like, you just have a whole lot of different 1 through 6 shielded guys, and having that in the box was easier than having it in a Ziploc baggie, and it took up a lot less space than dumping it out on the table and making a big mess.
Yeah. There's a lot that I enjoyed about the game. Dice the dice rondel type thing. As you move out, a person in the back goes first and then moves as many spaces forward as they want. I tend to like that mechanism quite a bit. And then you mix it with... I was concerned that it was going to feel too fiddly, the idea of having those as dice that pip up and down constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little bit fiddly, right? Moving onto a space, make sure to pip it down the number, okay, and then we get to take the action and such. Because you're just kind of updating those a lot. I was afraid it was going to be more fiddly than it actually was, so manipulating the dice was fine. Manipulating the warriors, the warrior... Now it sounds like I'm saying warrior.
The shield number.
Yeah, your Viking, guys in your ship. That's not too fiddly as you're like bumping them up, because it's not like you ever have to go like, okay, I fight, so 4 goes on 3. You're not doing up and down constantly. It's upgrade them or injure them.
I thought that I would, just knowing me, I thought I was going to forget the pips more, and I didn't. I didn't really have a problem with that after the first couple turns.
Yeah.
I think that it's very logical because you know how far you can go. The track is interesting, too, because it has a kind of reset point in the middle. So you go a little ways and you use as many pips up as you really can or want to, and then you kind of have this like recharge in the middle. When you get to those brown areas, you can get more of that beer, you can get more of the provisions, and then you go around part way and then you do some more resetting stuff, right? And so it's interesting because the trek itself, that first round feels really long, and I would argue too long. As you're moving around it, you start with minimum, I think, 4 pips. I don't think there was a setup card that had less than 2 on each die, sometimes more.
2 and 2 or 2 and 3.
Yeah, and so you're literally doing as many actions as you can because you have all this action power, right? And then as the game progresses in the middle, it speeds up a little bit because you're kind of running out of that and you're not always resetting. But then once you've built up that engine, it kind of moves again and you have a lot more actions. So it's interesting because I know for me, when I started that second round, I was like, oh, this is going to be a really long game. And when I got past that second round, it felt quicker because there was more to do.
Yeah. So this is, I think, my biggest struggle, actually, with the game. Is just,
mine as well.
It's kind of the length. And the length, the way that it feels long, because the box says on it, by the way, 2 hours. So it's not lying about the fact that the game takes a while to play. In fact, I think that they did a very good job. This one says it's a challenging game. There's an advanced game in their line, 2 hours. They're very accurate with all of that. But the problem is that it feels like it drags a little bit because of the turn structure. Because you can take your free actions, which sailing your ship around, going to the different ports, looking at the different items, playing out cards. There's a lot of free actions that you can do at any point on your turn, which is nice in the sense of you have a lot of flexibility with how you take your turn. Mm-hmm. But then it creates this nebulous feeling where someone goes, are you still taking your turn? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll just keep waiting. And then a lot of times at the tables I've played this at, right? The person's finally done, and there's not like an easy, like, it's your turn now. So people end up kind of waiting around because they're still thinking that people are going. So it drags, like turn by turn, it feels long.
Or I do the opposite, and I'm like, cool, I did my main turn. And then like the next person starts, and I'm like, wait, I forgot I had cards and boats. Yeah. Like, now I have to go look at all of my cards and figure out, am I going to play this now? Am I going to not? Am I going to flip over my dudes? Like, there's a lot of options. Mm-hmm. So I agree. And I think for me, honestly, all my frustrations are with the boat in this game. So I think that the boat turn structure of you can only do one free action move per turn. And when you do it, you have to spend provisions and like all that stuff. I feel like it is very well balanced with the end game. I think it is ideally balanced with the end game so that you may or may not be able to get your last little raiding or trading sticks, and you may or may not be able to put them on your board. So I feel like it's balanced, but it's balanced in a way that makes the game really long.
Yes.
And struggle in the middle. And a lot of it is trying to get those provisions because you're just constantly feeling like, okay, I have to go to this side of the board to pick up these sticks, but I have to go to that side of the board to pick up those sticks. And if I want to get provisions, I need to trade in cards, so I need goods, so I need to do these sticks. And the sticks give you stuff to progress the game and to get around in the game. And so if you're collecting big ones while you're on one side so that you can perfectly get to the other side, you're not building your engine.
Yeah.
So you have to go back and forth, and you don't get a lot of provisions.
No.
So it's like, it's a tightness that I wish, honestly, the middle section was pulled out some of those like mid-grade sticks or whatever, or even the really easy ones.
When we say sticks, you're talking about the
trading
and the
rating. Yeah,
okay.
Little trading rating sticks. Or something, because I feel like there's a lot of care put into the balance, but I want a shorter game.
I don't need this to be shorter. I just want the turns to move a little bit quicker, to feel a little bit zippier. And that's not what this game is. This game is very, when it's your turn, you can accomplish a lot because of that loose structure, but it does cause me to be a little bit uninterested as I'm watching other players take their turn, because I know it's going to be a while until I get to go again.
You also might have someone take a whole bunch of actions with their farther back die, and you're sitting with your 2 dice up front, and so you could have 8 or 9 turns between your turns.
Correct, yeah.
That can happen as well. So that is one of my big complaints. One thing I do really enjoy is I do enjoy those rating and those trading sticks.
Yeah.
And I like that idea behind it of you don't have to have everything when you go and pick them up. You can just go, you can grab them, you can look through, and they're tough decisions because you're like, do I want more resources? Do I want more points? Do I want something that's easier to, trade in?
So that I can build up that
resources?
engine quicker?
Yeah, so like there's good decisions in those, and I appreciate that you look at them all and you pick one. It's not just like pull one off the stack and you get what you get. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I think there's good decisions there. I also enjoy the engine building. So I have tried to focus all in on one side of things as well as spread across the board. And I feel like either way works. You know what I mean? It's not one of those games that you're like, if I'm the one person that does this one thing first, I'm going to get it.
Right.
I feel like you can diversify or you can focus in on stuff.
I think that the end game scoring is also fairly exciting, right? Because as your warriors have died off in glorious battle, they get points. But if you've kept them alive till the end of the game, they're also worth points. And you might unlock things that are going to be extra points at the end of the game. So the ending of it ends pretty well. But for me, it's that middle part of the journey, the beginning part of the journey that feels like it drags a little bit, which is unfortunate. So score-wise... And final thoughts.
Score-wise, I'm going to come in at a 6 on this. This is one that, looking at it and playing it, I was like, I really want this to be a 7. But it just can't be because of that really dead time in the middle. That just feeling of that slog in the middle. I can't get past that. There's so many better games that I'd rather play. However, this is one out of 6 that if someone pulled out, I would say, sure, I'll play that with you. I'll play this again. I'm just not going to actively recommend it and try to get people to play it. But like I said, I do really enjoy the rating and the trading sticks. I enjoy that engine building. I enjoy working, the dice around and trying to balance. Do I want to get more provisions? Do I want to get more pips? If I just focus in on one of those when we're in that recharge area, am I going to get less of the, I'm not going to get any of the other one. Am I going to have enough to get through and to get the actions I need or the boat movement I need? I think there's really clever decisions. I really enjoy the upgrading in it, and the cards are fun as well. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, but it's going to be a 6 for me.
I'm also coming in at a 6 on this one because I like it. There's so many... everything that you said I agree with, right? There's so many good, clever moments. There's moments that are exciting for you. And then when it's not your turn, it really just drags along. Mm-hmm. Some of the people that we played this with were like this. They would not come back to it for that reason.
Yeah.
So that's an important deal. But if you're okay with this and you really like this theme, I think it does the theme so well. Mm-hmm. It does it in a nice way that is not too difficult, approachable, but for that loose turn structure. And so, yeah, for me, a 6. I also wish that I liked this one more than I did. But I could see why people would dig into this game and why there's a lot. The card play, we didn't talk about all of that, right? Oh, there's a lot of things that you could still come back to this several games and have a good time if you're enjoying, if you're able to enjoy past those issues that we had with it. If that's not an issue for you, this is going to be a really cool game.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our thoughts here, giving a high score of a 6 for Karvi.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And yo ho, go be a Viking.
Not how they talked.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassett.